All right, today we are taking a closer look at a metal most of us think we know pretty well, but its entire story is being completely rewritten as we speak. Yep, we're talking about silver.
Forever, silver has lived in gold's shadow. You know the drill. In the world of precious metals, gold is the superstar, right? It's the go-to hedge, the ultimate store of value. And silver? It's always just been kind of poor man's gold.
But what if that whole narrative is causing us to miss one of the biggest investment stories of our time? A story that's being driven by something much, much bigger than just fear. Okay, let's get into it. So, first things first, we have got to tear down that old way of thinking. That poor man's gold label isn't just old-fashioned, it's just plain wrong, and it makes you miss the most exciting part of what's happening with silver right now.
You know, there's a reason investors have always gravitated towards gold. Its story is simple. When people get scared about the economy or inflation, they buy gold. Simple. But silver's different. It's what they call a Janus-faced metal. It has two personalities. It's a monetary asset, sure, but it's also a critical industrial metal. And for a long time, that complexity was seen as a bad thing.
And that complexity reads to its price action. It's known as a high beta asset compared to gold. So what does that mean? Basically, when gold makes a move, silver tends to make the same move but bigger. We're talking 2 to 3 times as much, up or down. Now, that volatility definitely adds risk, but it's also where the potential for those huge gains comes from.
And here is where the entire story just flips on its head. We are now in the 5th straight year of a structural silver deficit. That means for 5 years running, the world has been using more silver than we've been able to mine. This isn't a fluke, it's a chronic imbalance, and it's getting worse.
So, to really get what's happening with silver, you have to understand its dual engine. There are these two incredibly powerful forces pushing its value forward, and they're starting to work together.
So on one side, you've got its old job, the monetary haven. It's your hedge against inflation, a safe place to park money during a crisis, the fear trade. But on the other side, and this is the game changer, you have the industrial workhorse. It is absolutely essential for modern tech, and its demand is driven by innovation and growth. For maybe the first time ever, both of these engines are firing on all cylinders at the exact same time.
Let's really dig into this industrial side, because this is what makes today's silver story so radically different from the past. This isn't some minor detail. It's rewriting the entire playbook.
I mean, just look at this list. Solar panels, EVs, 5G, AI data centers. These aren't just trends. They are the mega trends that are building our future. And silver isn't just in them. In a lot of these cases, you literally can't replace it. So its use in these areas isn't just growing, it's exploding.
And to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, every single electric vehicle that rolls off the line needs between 25 and 50 grams of silver. Think about that. That is a massive jump in demand for every single gasoline car that gets replaced.
So you might be thinking, why silver? Can't we just use something cheaper? And the answer is pretty simple. Nope, we can't. Because silver is the best. It is the most electrically and thermally conductive metal on Earth, period. That makes it absolutely non-negotiable for high-performance electronics where you cannot afford to lose energy as heat.
So this brings us to the main event, the core tension in the silver market today. You have this unstoppable tidal wave of new demand from technology, and it's about to crash into a supply chain that just can't keep up.
Okay, here's the heart of the supply problem. About 70% of all the silver we mine isn't from silver mines. It's a byproduct. Miners are digging for lead or zinc or copper, and silver's just the stuff that comes along for the ride. So what does that mean? It means even if the price of silver goes to the moon, miners aren't necessarily going to dig up more of it unless the price of copper or zinc also makes it worth their while. The supply is what economists call inelastic. It doesn't respond to price.
So what's the result of all that? Well, this. This chart shows a crystal clear trend, and it's accelerating. This deficit isn't a one-time thing. It's a structural problem that is projected to get way, way bigger. The world is literally consuming silver faster than we can pull it out of the ground.
Okay, so given everything we've just talked about, you're probably wondering, how does an investor actually get exposure to this? Well, there are a few main ways, and each one has its own pros and cons.
So you could own the physical metal itself, coins or bars. That gives you the most safety with no middleman risk, but you got to store it somewhere. Then there are ETFs, which are super easy to buy and sell in the stock market, but you are exposed to risks with the fund itself. And finally, you can buy stocks in the mining companies, which gives you leveraged upside to the silver price, but then you're also taking on the risks of that specific company. But here's the real takeaway. A piece of your portfolio in silver can act as this unique triple threat. It's your monetary hedge against inflation, it's a direct bet on the green energy and tech revolutions, and it's a diversifier that zigs when your stocks and bonds might be zagging.
And the potential upside here is, well, it's not small. Because of these powerful supply and demand forces we've been talking about, some top analysts are forecasting silver could hit prices as high as $77 an ounce in the next few years.
So as we start to wrap this up, let's just take a quick look at the road ahead and think about who an investment like this might actually be for.
Look, silver isn't for everybody. It's really for investors who believe in the long-term, unstoppable growth of green energy and AI. It's for people who want a real, tangible asset to protect their wealth. And, maybe most importantly, it's for those who are okay with some extra volatility because they understand that's where the potential for bigger returns comes from.
The bottom line is this: the time when you could just think of silver as an afterthought, that time is over. It's not just playing second fiddle to gold anymore. It is a strategic asset that is fueling the entire 21st century economy.
And that really just leaves us with one final big question to think about. In a world that is running on electricity, on green energy, and on artificial intelligence, has the humble industrial workhorse of the periodic table finally earned the right to be king? Is silver, in fact, the new gold?